I feel that because both the partners are working and earning these days, money has become a very, very important parameter in relationships.
I mean, depends on the man. I don't know that they want to be worshipped, but they want to be acknowledged. It's all about everybody wants to be seen, heard, and understood.
Please remind yourself again and again that you are the one who decided to get married. You are the one who decided to have the children.
Well, talk about impact. This is how people create impact because they're detached from the consequence of all this, right?
Then I'm happy about it. Then I'm not complaining about it. Then I'm not blaming the other persons for it. And that changes the
That's right.
whole dynamics around money.
Every relationship problem that you have with your partner, your children, your team members, your parents starts in the same place. It starts with you.
I'm Dr. Sapna Sharma. I've spent 20 years as a relationship and parenting counselor, sitting across from people who are hurting, confused, and looking for answers, but all in the wrong places.
And I'm Rajiv Panjwani, 2 marriages, loss, rebuilding, and I've spent years coaching senior leaders on what it actually takes to show up consciously at work and at home.
So here together we are going to have the conversations most people avoid. There's no prescription here, just conversations.
About love, about marriage, heartbreaks, and what it really takes to grow. We hope this strikes a chord with you, and we hope you join us. This is the Relationships and Marriage Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Relationships and Marriage Podcast. Today we're going to talk about financial security. Let me explain what we mean. It's without emotional safety, our worries about financial security. It's a topic that, certainly in my work, Sapna, we get this a lot. The headline on my pages and on LinkedIn and other stuff is that I help executives, find their freedom and whatever they're looking for in their life without the fear of loss of financial security. And because this is a relationships and marriage podcast, let's talk about the relationships we have with our money and feeling of emotional safety and security. I know you and I have talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and other things in the past. Let's have it take from you on what you think about this.
I thought that when we discussed this topic and that some very interesting things came to my mind, especially when we look at it from Indian perspective. There's a lot of, I would say, polarization in the families when it comes to money, which affects the relationships quite a lot. And it affects all the relationships in some way or the other. So I thought it's a very, very interesting topic to talk about. And especially
We should do that.
Yeah, I feel that because both the partners are working and earning these days, money has become a very, very important parameter in relationships. Because everyone is almost independently working and earning. So its meaning has changed, perspectives have changed.
We talked in one of the previous episodes about the woman's empowerment, and we've touched on it quite a bit, because now the woman wants to and is being empowered to go, do work equal to what a man would do. That's a topic for that subject. But in terms of financial issues, how can a relationship feel materially secure but emotionally unsafe at the same time? Why is there such a disconnect? Why should there be a disconnect?
I guess because we have not learned to integrate. Like we have been talking in all our episodes, it's basically no one is talking about what's a relationship. No one is talking about what's a marriage. The only thing that we have clear ideas about is that I have to earn. I have to get a good job and I have to earn. So that's the only thing that we have clear ideas about. Integrating that aspect of our life with the rest of the aspects of our life is something which is not been our curriculum at all while growing up.
What I was going to say is that, financial security for me, even using my own experience, the relationship with money, your own relationship with money and yourself is, I think, fundamental to whether it's a man or woman. Maybe there are differences between the two. I'd say my relationship with money has been very difficult for me most of my life. Now we can go back and say why and all that, but I grew up in India, so I have this thing and this constant fear that if this doesn't happen and if that doesn't happen, you'll be on the streets and you'll be poor, and all these things are, in my psyche from the get-go, which it meant it took much longer. And I could say, oh, well, you moved to the US, what are you complaining about? I'm not complaining about anything. I'm simply saying that it's still the relationship, how we feel about money is super important, fundamental to relationships, because that just spills over. If you get married, that's another degree that you added, or the complexity you've added to the relationship. But fundamentally, my relationship with money has been a problem. I'm saying that, from the get-go. So it's been all these ups and downs and lots of ups, of course, did well. And then it's also like, can you keep it? And you keep it, we have this tight-fisted thing. If you keep it, you're not being open. If you're not open, you're not going to receive it either. So all this psychoanalysis we've done.
So what
Say,
has
what
money
is
meant
this?
to you? Since you're talking about your relationship with money, is it a goal to attain, or is it an identity, or what is it to you?
I think for most of us, because of the way we were brought up, because of the way we've been programmed, and society broadly here and everywhere else, is you need financial security, right? That's the fundamental Maslow's hierarchy of needs: food, clothing, and shelter. But that's where I was brought up with. But it just became my identity, particularly when I came to the US. Yes, it's such a capitalist, free market society here that everything becomes about accumulation and wealth accumulation. And therefore, I would say it becomes an identity. And then because the source of that money is work, career or business or job, particularly men, and I've seen this with women too, and my colleagues in my past life, incredibly identified with their work. And therefore, what comes with it is the paycheck. And as you grow, you go up the ladder, it's insane what it causes. I think it becomes an identity more than it's a goal. And that's where it becomes unhealthy to me.
Since I was thinking more from the Indian perspective, you started from India and you have this inbuilt insecurity. Because as parents are used to tell the children here that money is everything, you need to earn money. Otherwise, there's a lot of big otherwise. Because I think because we don't have a system called a social security in this country, everyone has to fend for themselves. And I think where our parents came from, money wasn't in abundance anywhere. So they were a very insecure generation and they have put it down to their children. My children do not respond in the same way to money. Even though I may be coming from the same perspective, when I try to talk to them from the same point of view, I realize that they don't. So I guess particularly our generations were more into this, feeling insecure about money, that there isn't enough of it.
What accounts for what you describe? Why is it that your children don't? Because of them or because of you? Or
No, I
meaning
guess
some
because they are
combination?
seeing abundance. They are seeing
Mm.
abundance in everything. Because I remember when I was growing up, everyone was okay. I don't remember any super rich people or super, those kinds of people who had a lot of money and a lot of consumerism was not there, right? So people just had enough money to ensure that if their children get through school and they can get married properly, and if they can make one
Mhm.
property to live, it's, that was the goal. That's the only they could dream of. But today they see that there is abundance. People are making money from everything and anything. And we have brought them up in a much better way that, we have practically been saying yes to whatever their needs are. So they don't feel the
Yeah.
pinch of it. Like when we were growing up, we were told no many times. In fact, we were even
Yes.
afraid to ask. To
Mhm.
our children, we don't say no that frequently. So for them, money means something totally different. Can be made very easily, and money is to be used, not to be kept and,
Yeah, so is that healthy or not healthy for them?
yes and no.
Mhm.
Because when you look at the uncertainties in the world, saving is an essential part even today, because we don't
Mm.
know how world is moving tomorrow, right? So concept of saving has to be inculcated wherever people are, because they say that whenever
Mm.
there has been financial meltdowns in the world, India has practically been stable because we are the people who believe in saving, because the government doesn't provide us anything here practically, like, we have to provide for us.
Well,
So
the
we
government doesn't provide you anything either. So I think it's partly what I was going to say earlier is that it looks like America's rubbed off on India, right, and everywhere else.
have, but
the
we
but
save a lot because we have to take care of our medicines, we have to take care of our medical care,
yeah,
our
yeah,
insurance is private, we have to get it, so everything is upon us. Saving is not a bad idea, it should be inculcated, but yes, I
sure.
also see that they believe in living also. Like we
Hmm.
always waited for that one day when we will have enough to
That's
do something. So that is not there. But what we were discussing in terms of relationships, a relationship, when we are talking about the relationship among people, and then there is money,
that's
right?
mhm.
That is what we wanted to discuss, rather than how I feel about money. That of course, whatever happens in the relationship comes from how I feel
Sure.
about the money. Do you see, like, you have particularly been doing your work with very senior leaders, so who have already have an extraordinary careers, and they financially there is nothing which is lacking in their lives. So do you
Correct.
see emotional emptiness in them, or do they talk about it, or is it all about money?
Well, it isn't all about money for sure. It's just that it's their titles, it's their money that goes with the title. So they've achieved something in life. They're in their, let's say, 50s, right? I'm giving an example. roughly, and that's the case. Um, in my coaching sessions, it's not always that somebody, a man or a woman, says, I have this money is causing problems between us. No. However, the career of the individual, if it's a man, let's say, it tends to have complete overshadows everything else. And maybe it's not spoken out loud or named loudly, but the spouse, it may be when they're in their 50s, suddenly all this stuff comes out when the children are gone, right? In college to college. And I don't have any time with you. And then he starts to go, well, I've done everything for you, honey. We've done this for the kids. They've gone to college. And now what are you complaining about, right? It's like, we've given you everything. As one of the things we talk about. One partner says, I've given you everything. And why does it feel empty then? That's a big question, isn't it? And it comes through in conversations. And you start to dig over a few one-on-one sessions. You realize there is an issue there. And so it may be attributed to money, but a lot of times it is, your career identity, as we said earlier, is tied up in your career. And because money is such a big part of it, because life is good, you're looking at now having another home, a second home, a third home, or travel. These things come up when you're later in life because, a lot of us suffer from this when-then disease. When I have this, then I'll do that. When I have this, then I'll do that. And as you said, our generation, the younger generation is, wants to rent life. Today is the day. Why are we going to live for tomorrow? That's a balance that you need to have because it cannot be life balance, work-life balance. I just don't believe that that's the thing either. But it's just integrating, as you were saying earlier, integrating money and its consequences, the positive effects of money to be integrated into your day-to-day life. Because otherwise you are living in insecurity and feeling of poverty about to come and hit you.
I have been observing very interesting trends, which I can, let's say point 1, 2, 3, 4, which I'm observing very, very commonly. Number
Sure. Great.
one is like you mentioned that, when they say that I have been working for you and I have been doing everything for you. I believe, that is a very big problem among people now. I won't say just the men, even the
Yeah.
women, because everyone is working and earning now these days. In my coaching programs, I often ask people, that if your children and your spouse and maybe your other dependents just tell you that we don't need your money, would you stop working and just, be at home in your pajamas? So the fact is
Mhm.
that no one works for anyone else. I like to work. I like everything that comes with it, the status, my position in the society, and my knowledge and the utilization of my knowledge, and everything is what I want, right? But when people start looking at it as, like, or at least putting it like I'm doing it for you, okay, the
Mhm.
whole thing changes because one is you start believing that you are doing something which you don't want, which is a bad feeling. And second is you start believing that you are actually doing something, an obligation to the other person,
Mhm.
right? This is one point. Second point, which I asked them is that did anyone sit on your head and, force you to get married or to have children? You did it because you wanted to. So you did it and this all comes with it. Why make an issue of it and let people know every now and then I'm doing this for you, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing this for you, right? Because we do that
Yeah.
to our children also a lot. We do this for you. So that's the
Mhm.
second aspect of it. Third, a very interesting aspect which I have seen, this is a generalization, there are exceptions on. Women get the feeling of being loved by actual the expression of emotions.
Mhm.
Right? Physical, verbal expression of emotions is what keeps the woman in love with the man. Right? But interestingly, most men, especially post the marriage, believe that it's the money because of which the people are there with them. They like to believe it, I believe, because maybe if they feel that they're not expressing enough or someone is complaining that you're not expressing enough, they want to, justify it by saying this. So I have met many, many senior executives post retirement. And their
Mm.
first complaint is, I'm not earning today, so, no one bothers about me at home. It's a very common complaint.
And it's so true, though. For the man who's identified with this, yes, absolutely,
Exactly.
as a provider,
And then
and he has no role to play in that way.
And then when someone tries to tell them that you actually missed out on connecting with the family during that period when you were earning, they don't want to accept it because that
Right.
the fact that I am earning and I was providing is a security shell which we have created around themselves, which makes
Hmm.
them feel worth. If that
Correct.
is taken away from you and you're told that, it's no big deal, everyone earns, everything shatters because you've built your identity around them. So I would like to just
Yeah.
mention here while we are here, it's a very interesting story.
Oh,
Uh,
it is. Go ahead.
yeah, it's a very interesting story that a few years back, did I mention this? A
Sure.
beggar died in Bangalore. So I don't know if I mentioned it any of the other
No,
side.
no, we didn't.
Okay,
No.
a beggar died on Bangalore. So he was living practically in a tattered cloth tent, small tent on the roadside. He didn't anything. So the video showed that he had died and his body was lying around there on the footpath. There was a circle of police constables. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and inside there were heaps and heaps of notes, currency notes, and they counted something about 1 crore 65 lakh in Indian rupees. That was what they found inside where the beggar was used to live.
Mm-hmm.
That was his earning throughout his life. So I try to remind people that if you're earning, it's not a big deal at all, right? Because you like to work, you like everything else comes with it. So money is going to be coming, right? Why do we want to show it and, replace it for relationship?
So I just feel like I want to know the end of that story. But he died. But so he'd been accumulating money. He had
Yeah,
like almost $200,000 in U.S.
yeah.
terms now, given that. And that cash was there on the streets.
Yeah, yeah, because now the
Wow.
police were taking over because there was no one else. And then I've
Wow.
also
So
seen the video of another beggar, practically, who sponsors about 20 girls in an orphanage.
wow.
And he's a beggar. He
Well,
says that I earn enough and for myself and I spend some for my wife in the village and what do I do with the other money?
well, talk about impact. This is how people create impact because they're detached from the consequence of all this, right? Because they're just doing what they want to do. So I think back to the point about money. Yes, if I'm going to work hard, I'm going to make money. So this, you're doing it for you, and I've always said that too. So I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for my children,
Yes.
and thankfully, my children are independent and they can do whatever they want because I don't have an issue, and that's why I can say confidently to my clients, hey, I know you're saying you're addicted to your paycheck, for example. Like it keeps coming.
That's an interesting phase. Addicted to.
Yeah, it's used by one of these guys who said, I'm addicted to the paycheck, and that's not uncommon. People say things like, I'm addicted. They will never self-acknowledge they're addicted to anything, but this is. And he said, I really hate my job. He's in his late 40s, and wants to do something else. He doesn't know what, which is part of the coaching I do, to find out, why you should do what you should, or why you want to do what you want to do. It's insane that it comes down to this deep insecurity about what if I lose it all.
Mm.
Well, if you start with that, yeah, you will lose it all, law of attraction. But if you say, I'll figure this out, I'll make it happen, you start somewhere. Yeah, you shouldn't be stupid to quit your job tomorrow and say, okay, I'm going to go become freedom. Freedom means entrepreneurship. That's just not the case, as we know. It's just that you have to be, you can be cautious, but also you have to take risk. Without that, there is no entrepreneurship. So in that context, it comes up. And back to some of my current clients who in the 50s or 60s, now because they're struggling with this midlife, that's happened. The kids have gone and the wife or the husband is now a different person that they encounter after they get home. Now they're going into yoga, they're going into meditation because that person doesn't know that this entire life they've been addicted to not only the paycheck, but also the lifestyle and this career, because once you're going to retire, whether you're forced to retire or you decide that the company has 25-year policy and you leave, what do you do with your life? And that's the question of a day to day, because you're so tied to money. You're so tied to money.
Exactly, that is where we are right now. That's when you start thinking about your spouse. That's when you start thinking about the children. That's when you start thinking about connecting. Unfortunately, in many families, everyone else has moved forward. They have learned to live without you because
Mhm.
you were emotionally not there, and so they learn to live without you. And now, when you have so much of emptiness, instead of accepting that I missed out on something, again you go into another cycle of saying and blaming others that now that I don't earn money, you guys don't care for me.
Mm.
I have a very interesting question for you, Raju. Just came to my mind in this whole context. Okay. So if a woman is working at home, I mean, she's taking care of the children and taking care of the parents, like in India, and cooking and cleaning and doing all of that thing, she's often told, whenever she complains or anything, that what's the big deal? Everyone does. Okay.
Mm.
Why does the man want to be worshipped by the family for his earning? Because that's also
Yeah,
every
that's
man
what.
does, right? It's not a big deal. Every man does that.
Yeah. It's a constant tussle, I'm sure, in people's lives day to day, right? I'm doing this too, and hey, I did the dishwasher today. Can you, do something else today? In the U.S., it's a lot of chores that become an issue. Why hasn't the trash been taken out? Very common refrain, woman to man. You haven't taken the trash out. It was Monday. They're supposed to pick it up, and you didn't do it. Very common. The man's, I'm so tired. I've done this. I worked all weekend too. It's like we're all showing off what we did, and it's not that the homemaker does not say that as well.
Yeah.
So this becomes a source of frustration, and the kids are involved. It complicates it. So is the question, why does that happen? I think it's just how we have.
What I want to say that is when the homemaker complains, she's been told that what did you do all day?
Right.
What do you do? Entire day.
Because you're
I've
at
been
home. You're at home.
Yeah. So when she is not given any special credit for whatever she's doing at home, which is actually a lot, why does the man want to be worshipped for being the breadwinner if he is the single bread?
I mean, depends on the man. I don't know that they want to be worshipped, but they want to be acknowledged. It's all about everybody wants to be seen, heard, and understood. But if I'm not even seen, I just bury myself at work because I got no credit at home because that's what I'm supposed to do.
So
The wife also
precisely the
supposed to do
homemaker
what she's
also
supposed
wants to
to do.
be seen,
I
right?
agree. I'm
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 agreeing.
agreeing with all of that,
Not done. So either
which is
side.
not done, and therefore start doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's both the side. Like we were discussing in the other sessions, that the mother should teach the boys how to appreciate the girl, and the father should
Sure.
teach the daughter that appreciate that he is the breadwinner, or even if you earn, still make him feel that you are the breadwinner. Because I think it's the whole thing about the man feeling it this way.
Right.
There's another thing, like in our society, earning is given like a prestige, and just being at home bringing up children, which I feel is a huge job, but it's not given any prestige at all. It's just, what do you do sitting at home at all? So these differences, I guess, we've been brought up with them, so we start putting those things in our life, and we don't even know that how it's taken a monstrous form in our lives.
But so we spend our 50s in unraveling what we've already done, realizing maybe self-realizations, maybe self-awareness. Oh shit, I've come to this point in life and I'm not acknowledging my wife and my wife is not acknowledging me. Where do we begin? So I think if there is something that wherever these, our listeners and those watching, if they're in that situation today, what could they start with? Maybe just three things, maybe one thing they can start with today.
Simply, everything which is happening in your life is being done by someone. Acknowledge and appreciate. Secondly, please remind yourself again and again that you are the one who decided to get married. You are the one who decided to have the children. So all of this is there that you have to spend because of your own decision. So you need to stop feeling that because of them I am doing, because then your behavior changes towards, right?
Mhm.
We are in this
Yep.
together. We all do whatever needs to be done, and we appreciate it for each other and for ourselves. It is actually
You
that
know,
simple.
it is that simple. And it's like, how can that be so simple? We just love complications in life. So give me something that I don't know. But the question is, even if you know, are you practicing it? It's good to have all this knowledge, but if you're not doing anything about it, then that's on you as well, right?
Mm.
So I do what I do because I want to. If that's the case, you say, no, that's not the case because I'm doing what I'm doing because I need to. Well, that changes the equation for me.
Yes.
You're doing it because you want to. When you have that power within you,
Then
you're
then
able
I'm
to then
happy about
say,
it. Then I'm happy
yeah,
about it. Then I'm not complaining about it. Then I'm not blaming the other persons for it. And that changes the
that's right.
whole dynamics around money. Even if you are a single person, single breadwinner in the family, it's your choice because of which the family is there. If you did not choose to get
Correct.
married, this whole thing would not exist, right? Can
That's
we
right.
be happy about it that I am able to provide for this? I mean, I see parents
Huh?
are sending their children to high end schools, while the children do not ask for high end schools when they're beginning. They don't understand anything, right? You get them into private schools and high end schools, and then you keep on telling them throughout their life, we do so much for you, we do so much for you, instead of sitting with them and finding out maybe if they're not studying, why they're not studying, if there's a behavioral issue, why it is. That we don't do. We just believe in blaming and feeling that money makes me the untouchable.
Right. So it always comes down to, always to me, the first thing, it's about you. You are the one,
Absolutely.
at this. So unless you examine with yourself and acknowledge, not much is going to change for
Perfect.
you, my friend. All right. So start with you. I would say number two for me is, be grateful and acknowledge, as you said, not only people around you, but the fact that you are alive and that you're able to, you get to do this rather than I need to do this. That
Absolutely.
need to do this is what creates subservience and this feeling of I'm not worth it. So I would say gratitude is very important. And then look around. I mean, people, you go to restaurants or you go to, you're using services of the government or what have you. People are working,
Everyone.
hopefully because they want to. And whenever you shift the equation for, say, I need to because I have to sustain, I think try to focus on that. It's okay, I'm also doing it because I want to. Now, the survey says that 70% of employees, by the way, in the world are unhappy with their jobs. Well, that's another story, but it's about you as well. What is your relationship with your job? Is it because you need to or because you want to? And maybe if that's not the right job for you, then go look for something else.
There is
But
a choice. We
you,
believe that
it's a
we come in as
choice.
if there's no choice, but there is a choice at every point of time. Everyone has a choice. And everything that we have in our life is, in some way or the other, is a result of our own choices.
I think we should end on that note because that is a great line to end on. Everything you do and what you're doing is your choice. So stop complaining about money. All
Perfect.
right. Well, we
So,
look forward to seeing you. And oh yeah, please remind the listeners and viewers what we want them to
yeah,
do.
I always tell them we are getting amazing comments in our personal DMs also, and we would love to hear from everyone. What do you think of these conversations? What is there in your mind? What do you want us to talk about? And we love to have conversations, not just one way, telling you something. So let's talk.
Yes. Yeah. So some of these topics we're talking about do come from you, but the more we get to hear, the more we can add value. All right. Until next time, we're signing off here from the Relationships and Marriage Podcast. If something in today's conversation stayed with you, well, sit with it. That discomfort is telling you something worth listening to.
Before thinking of who needs to hear this and who needs to change, try to introspect. We read every comment and message and reply them personally. Tell us what come up for you.
And if someone in your life actually does need to hear this, send it to them. That might be the most important thing you do today.
Subscribe so that you never miss a conversation.
See
See you
you
in
in
the
the
next
next
episode.
episode.